How serious is the Drew Petzing to Chicago as the next potential head coach really? Would I like to see Drew Petzing gone? And what happens in the world where the Arizona Cardinals need to go after the next offensive coordinator search? Go and dive right into everything? Let's get started. What's going on, everybody? Welcome back into another video. Definitely do me a huge favor, smack up that like button and subscribe for more Arizona Cardinals content. On this channel, we're covering the Arizona Cardinals news, breaking news, conversational pieces, everything surrounding your favorite team. And guess what? Just because it's the offseason does not mean we stop making content. So subscribe it up. It's absolutely for free. All right, everybody, let's go and dive right into it. Let's talk about how serious is this Drew Petzing as the next potential head coach of the Chicago Bears and how serious this whole thing really is, right? Now, of course, right now, about an hour ago, maybe about an hour and a half ago, since we're recording this video, we got word that the Chicago Bears have already completed the interview here with Drew Petzing. And of course, when you read out the comments with Chicago Bears fans, you get a lot of mixed reviews, a lot of like, who is this guy? We don't want him. We want this. We want that, right? Now, I think it's very, very obvious when you're looking at the top trade candidates for, all these teams that need a head coach, the big guys out there, and I mean the top candidates are going to be Ben Johnson, Cliff Kingsbury, and potentially Joe Brady, or maybe, Aaron Glenn, just kind of really depending on what you're really looking for, right? Either a defensive-minded guy or a offensive-minded guy. But because the Arizona Cardinals offensive coordinator, Drew Petzing, has been, reached out to and got an interview with the Chicago Bears, that kind of comes out to say, hey, I think the Chicago Bears right now are literally just casting an absolute wide net, and they're probably one of the teams, along with the Jets, that they're going after everybody, right? They want to hear everybody. They want to see who is the guy that's going to be able to make their first overall pick in Caleb Williams, the next best quarterback here within the NFC North. So they got a big test coming their way. And honestly, when you really look at it here, Drew Petzing, what he's accomplished here as an offensive coordinator of the Arizona Cardinals, and a lot of people are probably not gonna, like me for saying this, but he wasn't bad, and he's not a bad offensive coordinator, but he's not, in my opinion, not ready to take on that head coaching role, right? Well, at least that's the way I look at it. Now, it does take two to tango at the end of the day, right? Because if you really look at it, you got those big hot commodities out there, Cliff Kingsbury and Ben Johnson being the top two dogs out there. They got to want to lead their organizations as well, right? Because you also got to look at this, how many teams are actually looking to get their next head coach? The last time I looked, it was 6, and you might hear more down the pipeline. You never know. But right now, it's the Chicago Bears, the Jets, the New England Patriots, the Jaguars, the Saints, the Raiders, right? All these guys are probably going to want the services of those top two guys, Cliff or maybe even Ben Johnson. But do they want to leave their organizations, right? Is Cliff ready to jump the cliff and go after another head coaching job, right? He's got a good thing going on right now with the Washington Commanders. And on top of that, Ben Johnson, right? Does he want to leave this really good powerhouse team in the NFC North, in the Detroit Lions? I don't know. We've heard that he's going to be very choosy when it comes down to looking for that next potential promotion for him. So I don't think it's going to be as easy as the Chicago Bears have it in their hand, right? Because I know there's a lot of people out there, especially, Jaguar fans, that want the services of Ben Johnson. So it's going to be a very interesting way to figure out where those two top offensive-minded guys are going to go within this 6-team race team, head coach search right now. So going back to what we were talking about originally, how realistic is Drew Petzing potentially getting hired as the next head coach to the Chicago Bears really is, right? Now, the realism is if they believe in Drew Petzing. Now, what has Drew Petzing accomplished so far, being the offensive coordinator for the Cardinals in 2 years? Now, obviously, shout out here to Chuck Harris on X/Twitter. He ended up putting this out, and, shout out to him. And like I said, I've never felt like Drew Petzing was the sole reason as to why the Cardinals offensive, side of the ball has been struggling. He had a part in play, but this is what he's accomplished in terms of the stats, right? He's 11th in yards, 7th in yards per game, 7th in rushing, 2nd in rush per play, 18 in passing, 15 in pass per play, 9 in first downs per game, 8 in third down conversions, 4th in goal to go percentage, and 12th in points per game. He's done pretty decent, and you got to keep in mind, Jonathan Gannon, I don't think wants anything to do with the offensive side of the ball. This is all on Drew Petzing. This is all on him, right? Can his offense work in the NFL? And it can. It's proven. It can work in the NFL. Now, it does help that you got a dog like James Conner, toting the rock and doing what he does, physical runs, fighting for those ugly yards. Yes, that absolutely does help. But what he's done, and obviously you can tell by the stats, it's primarily focused on the run, and you can tell that the passing game isn't 100% there, right? They're at least midline 15 to 18 when it comes down to the passing game. That's been the biggest struggle for the Cardinals, right? The passing game. Are we going to be able to execute those explosive plays? And we've seen a little bit of it in the last 2 games, but can it translate into 2025? Well, that's going to be what we're going to have to kind of wait and see for the Arizona Cardinals offensive side of the ball, because they have been the sore thumb of the 2024 Arizona Cardinals, which had not have us win a lot of games, or at least enough games to take the next step, and that's obviously the playoffs. So overall, Drew Petzing, I feel like he's accomplished a lot. I really do. No, do I think he's going to be the next head coach of the Chicago Bears? Probably not, right? I don't think he's quite there. Now, if the Cardinals take the next step in year 3, and we're all hoping for, fingers crossed, it's all wishful thinking, but fingers crossed, right? Then he might be an actual good candidate for a next potential head coach moving forward. But we'll see. Crazier things has happened, right? Now, let's live in a world where, let's say, for example, the Cardinals do lose out on their offensive coordinator and Drew Petzing. Let's say, for example, Ben Johnson and Cliff Kingsbury do decide to either stay or go to other teams besides the Chicago Bears, right? Because right now, the only team that's interested in Drew Petzing is the Chicago Bears. So, let's say we live in a world that it happens and Drew Petzing does get hired as the head coach of the Chicago Bears, because right now he's probably one of the very few that's already gotten an interview and completed that interview with the Bears. Now, you also got to keep in mind, if your team is in the playoffs, like Cliff's team as well as Ben Johnson, you're not going to be able to interview them unless they are done with their season. So the Cardinals are in the playoffs, so that's probably one of the main reasons why he was one of the first guys out there to complete his interview. Maybe he wowed him that much. Maybe he didn't. But if I was the Chicago Bears, you got to be patient, right? You got to go ahead and do your due diligence. Make sure you interview everybody you possibly can to get the right guy in your organization. But let's talk about if the Cardinals do live in a world like that, right? We can't really speak in terms of who I would want, because you got to think about it. The Cardinals would probably need to give a opportunity to maybe somebody on a different coaching staff, or maybe somebody within this specific organization already. There's a couple people that kind of come to mind in terms of potentially being that next guy. One of them being Drew Terrell, and he is currently right now the passing game coordinator / wide receiver coach for the Arizona Cardinals. And another guy that I really like, he's young, but Spencer Whipple, right? Spencer Whipple, I really do like him, and right now he is seen to be the pass game specialist currently right now. So I like 2 of those options. Now, if the Cardinals decide to promote anybody else, of course, we're going to support that guy, and we hope that we're going to take the next step here moving forward. But overall, is the noise warranted, right? Is the Cardinal fans that want Drew Petzing gone, should they want him gone? Honestly, I think with how the way the season ended with these last 2 games, we've built on blocks, right? The blocks are being built. Let's just wait to see what year 3 holds, because we're bringing everybody else back, right? And I know there's a lot of people saying that there needs to be some sort of scapegoat, especially because we finished off the, after the bye week 2 and 5. It seems like the Cardinals are more than happy with going with the same coaching staff from 2024 to 2025. I'm not talking about the big dogs, right? Your head coach, your offensive coordinator, and your defensive coordinator. It seems like they're more than confident because of progress in terms of obviously from 4 wins to 8 wins. They most likely will continue to go that route in 2025. So, ladies and gentlemen, what are your thoughts? Do you think it's a real serious thing that Drew Petzing might find his way in another organization? Do you think the Cardinals are going to need to go on an offensive coordinator search? I don't know. I don't think that's the case. I think the Cardinals are in a good spot. Let's see what happens in 2025, and then we will reassess from there. So, ladies and gentlemen, what are your thoughts here? Let me know in the comments. Appreciate y'all for tuning in as always. Have a great rest of your day, and go Cardinals.